Hey, Anmol, so good to have you on this series. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to listening to you, and especially me, definitely. And thank you for taking time and coming to the show.
Thank you, Indian. Don't thank me for time because we all have a lot of time right now. That we've been blessed in a way. We've got all the time on earth to do a lot of things which we are probably missing out on. So thank you, Indian, for having me. And yeah, looking forward to this.
Wonderful. Anmol, yours is a very interesting career journey. From what I've seen and what people can see on LinkedIn. You had a typical start, what everybody would, aspire for a software engineer. I don't know how many people know that you actually started out as a software engineer with IBM, but
Right.
that's how you got started. And then you moved on into sales, head of sales, entrepreneur, and now stand-up comedy. I mean, can you throw a little more light on, your journey so far?
Sure. It's been an interesting journey. So I'm more of a software engineer by chance, a sales engineer by choice,
Okay.
and a stand-up comedian, by passion. That's how,
Right.
yeah, that's how I define my journey. And I'm not too sure when you said a lot of people want to aspire to be software engineers. I think they are forced to become software engineers, right?
Right.
Because that's what everyone else is doing. So I became a software engineer simply because my sister was one. My dad was one. He used to work with IBM,
All
and
right.
then my sister was with IBM. So it's like a family legacy. I joined IBM, right?
So who has said, software engineering, there's no legacy? I'm right there.
I am the legacy. I've broken that. I've broken that chain. I've broken that chain. But it was a great company.
Sure.
I loved the fact that the company culture was great, the job was good, but somewhere I wasn't enjoying it. Right,
Mhm.
great organization to work for, and it was right next to my house. And they always gave this option of work from home, so it's nothing new for me. Like 4 years, that's what I did.
Wow.
Even
Okay.
though the office was right next door, we all used to work from home. The culture was really supportive, right?
Right.
So, but somewhere I wasn't enjoying my job, and that's when I thought, okay, let's get into this whole startup thing.
Right.
And then I took the plunge. I took the plunge because it got to a point where I could not continue.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this fever for 23 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the time when I was making up my mind. Okay, I need to leave. I need to leave right now. And then this fever went on for 23 days, and then we did all the blood tests. Nothing. It's like doctors saying it's nothing serious, but I'm on bed, and I think I was very disturbed at that point of time. And
Right.
that's when I quit. And then the fever is off. The next day, I'm back to normal. There's nothing.
Wow.
Right. So it was strange. It was the whole thing actually manifesting into something which was probably not needed. So and then here I am. Like I don't know what to do. It's not that my dad's a millionaire, so that I can follow my passion, so to speak. So I started into started with placement training. So I
Mm-hmm.
used to train on both soft skills and aptitude because I
Right.
wrote CAT. Both the times I'd scored well. And then I had my first startup, which didn't work out. Then I had a second startup, which didn't work out. I had my third startup, which didn't work out. So Sales 5X is the fourth one. Okay, it's
Wow.
not like a startup. It's more of sales training. So it's a traditional business, so to speak. But yes, so it took about 5 years and three failed startups, and that's when I started Sales 5X because I saw there's a huge gap in the industry when it comes to sales.
Right.
People have great ideas, but what does it take to get that product or service out into the market? What does it take to get your first 10 customers? How should you build your sales pipeline? How do you handle objections, close the deal? So all of these were gray areas. Whenever I spoke to entrepreneurs, having startups or even SMB, small and medium businesses. So I saw a huge gap,
Right.
and never made all the mistakes which I did in the first three startups. And yeah,
That's how you
that's
learn.
so yeah, that's how you learn. That's it. Trust me, I
Right.
did. I did this. This was my MBA, right?
Right.
While
Right.
I was preparing, I got interviewed by IIM Indore and rejected by them, but I got a better quality MBA at
Right.
probably one fifth the cost, keeping aside the opportunity cost. But yeah, it was definitely worth it. And then of course this whole stand up thing came about. So I've
Right.
always had this. I've always been the guy who's played the fool in school and college, right? Always getting caught, making people laugh, doing stupid things. So that's part of me,
Right.
right? So
Right.
it had to find some channel. And I was like, okay. Like about 5 years back, I had entered a stand-up contest and actually won it. But
Wow.
I never took it seriously. I never took it seriously after that. And what happened was about 6 months back, one of my friends, he said, why don't you, do an act, and in our digital marketing club. So I thought, okay, let's pick up digital marketing as a subject. So I did it. People loved it. I'm like, okay, this actually looks interesting. So yeah, from then on, I didn't turn back. So that's been the journey.
That's wonderful. So this is not your first 3 week lockdown period, yeah? So this is your second, right? And
Yeah. I mean,
but you also told a very important thing, how you use the time to think through and, see what could be ahead, and not just being bogged down by, I mean, fever is a fear for anybody, and anybody could have just, just been, bedridden the whole 3 week period. Amazing. That's wonderful. So, um, did you even? You told me that you were not interested in software. You were probably looking into getting into. I mean, sales was something that you probably would want to. But did you think that you will get into sales so quickly? Because everything seemed to be going fine. IBM next door, work from home,
yeah, it was a dream job. You got money also.
right?
Right. So nowhere I thought that I'm going to get into sales. It's just that I think a lot of this is going with the flow and removing the emotion out of the game. Right. So if your first startup fails, if you invest too much emotionally, I'm not talking financially, that, oh my God, my life is in a mess, I'm screwed up, what's going society going to think of me? If you get into that mindset, right, it's very difficult for you to probably do another startup or think creatively. So what worked for me is that I never had a plan that I'll get into sales. It's just that my first startup idea was, something which I thought that the world needed. I was like, man, this is it, man. I'm a millionaire overnight. The world will love it. And no one bought. Right? So, uh, you know, so it was, you need to validate a lot of things. So after my third startup, I realized that, look, there's a huge market for sales training.
Right.
Right, a lot of these SMBs don't have skilled salespeople. They don't have people who come from a sales background. These people don't really understand what is the sales process, how to understand the psyche of the customer. So after my third startup, I took some time off, and then I realized, look, this is a huge market, and this is something I'm also passionate about. Right, so
Right.
that's the Venn diagram. Right, is there a market to it, and is this your passion? That sweet spot, right?
Right.
And then that's when it hit. So that's like, hey, this makes a lot of sense, let's do it. So I don't think this whole thing was designed like 10 years back, this is what I'm going to do. I think you just got to go with the flow, remove the emotion from the game, very very crucial. And I think, yeah, just go with the flow, rest will take care of itself.
Wonderful, wonderful. See, today I see a lot of people, Anmol, who want to, do run their own startups. Wonderful, a lot of youngsters. But at the hit of the first, obstacle, they kind of get shaken up and they immediately scurry around saying, okay, which is the safest point, right? I mean, 3 failed startups is not something easy. I mean, you could have given up too.
Right.
So what was running in your mind, when you were going through the journey? Because every time you started something, I'm sure there was so much of optimism. You believed, in your mind, like you said, it was a world-changing idea, right? And then, it fails, right? So what was running in your mind over this journey of 3 startups, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it was confusing. It was confusing at times. It was, a little disappointing as well. There was a time when every morning I would change two things, my underwear and my startup idea. Seriously,
Right,
yeah, that's what the phase was, right? You don't know what you're doing, right? So, and then there are times when these emotions take over. Hey, what are you doing with your life? My parents are like, get married, and like that's the last thing on my mind right now. So yeah, it is probably a path which can kind of, if you're not thick-skinned, it can, get on your nerves. But I've always found my ways to relax. So I do a lot of, I'm into fitness, I do a lot of yoga. So it just calms your mind, right? Like even
right.
now, let's take the example of my stand-up right now. Now every video I launch, I'm like, this is going viral, man. That's it. and the next day when I go, the YouTube views, it's stuck at 250. Right? So I think it's just getting used to it. Yeah,
Right.
it's just about getting used to it, and not like putting everything like, hey, this is what. No, not controlling things. If you control things, and if it doesn't go your way, then you need to have the bandwidth to absorb that learning.
Right. Right.
And if you don't do that, very difficult, very difficult. I think that's what I've learned. It's to just you know get into that zone where you trust the universe as well, right? That look, it's helping you to make it happen, right?
Right.
Don't take all the worry, outsource a lot of that to the universe out there. There is this whole energy out there. So I'm a firm believer in that. So even if like my next 100 stand-up videos don't do well, there's always the 101st one. So
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. That's a great attitude. See, again, just to take a small deviation here, be it career or be it an entrepreneur, today most people, when they start focusing on one thing, they miss out on everything else. Especially their health.
right.
I like what you said about your focus on continuing practice about health and yoga and meditation. So if you can just take a couple of minutes, just tell, did it really make a difference, or is it just a fitness thing?
Oh no, it made a huge difference. I think it defines what I am. So I got into Reiki. I'm a Reiki level 2 practitioner. I did a course, NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, was trained by Richard McHugh, who was actually trained by Richard Brandler himself. So all of this actually, works with energy, right? So end of the day, it's about where you're focusing on. If you're into that negative spiral, if your mind is always in that negative spiral, you're going to be pulled down like a tornado, right? But if you can break that vicious circle, right, then the downtimes don't have to be those bad downtimes, right? Like, I agree, it's not been that easy, but I won't say, I've struggled, I've suffered. Not really. I think all of this has helped me, right? So when I'm down and out, just go hit the gym, and then you're back at your peak fitness, because the way your body feels, it will translate to your mind as well. That's why just 20 minutes of jogging will release dopamine, endorphins, and changes the physical state and the mental state. So that's what I suggest. If anyone's, whoever's listening to this, involve yourself in a lot of these activities, because it will eventually reflect on the core of what you do.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Anmol. Uh, you were mentioning about the learnings from the three startup failures, right? I mean, so if you can summarize that and say what would be the biggest takeaway. I'm sure there are a lot of them, bag full of them. But if there is something that was a kind of a turning point for you, something that kind of you said, hey, this is what I'm missing on. Obviously, there's an opportunity you identified. Obviously, all those things are definitely there. I guess opportunities are there, for everybody. But there's
Right.
so much of learning that would have come in this journey. So, is there something that was a turning point or something which was a very big takeaway? You say, okay, this mistake or this is the biggest learning which I'm going to implement in my next one.
I think I can share 3 key points with you. Number one was something that I mentioned earlier as well, which is validation, validating your idea. Don't assume things. Let's say at one point of time, I was building an app which will help students with financial education, right? So at the face of it, it looks like a great idea, because parents want to teach kids about finance.
Right.
So I made this app, spent a lot of money creating it, and then I realized no one's downloading it. Right. So you validate the concept first. That, look, you go out to parents, create a little WhatsApp group, see the engagement. Turns out that people they obviously want to teach their kids financial education, but not through an app. Right. So no point doing this for like a year, spending all your effort and then realizing it's not working. Right. So validate every single thing. Ask your user, okay, give me 100 rupees right now. I will send every day one question to you for the next 100 days. The moment you give me 100 Indian, I know, okay, you are my paid customer. There is a market to this. So don't assume sitting in your castle in this air conditioned environment, yeah, this is what the world needs. That's one. Second is this whole myth around funding, right? Get your business model right. I believe that funding is like, let's assume your business is a car, and funding is that fuel, which is that fuel which is giving you that boost to just continue, for a long mile. But if your car has a leaky engine, where your business model is not right, then the more fuel I add, it's going to leak only more.
Absolutely.
So don't get stuck with this whole funding thing. Make sure that the engine is performing well, and of course, then you're ready to scale up, right? And third thing is, don't do everything yourself. I think this is something that a learning which has happened in the last 2 years. We are all very passionate. I will create that design. I will write the copy for this. I will talk to the customers. I will do sales. I will do marketing. I will also develop the product. Somewhere you lose out. You're then self-employed. You're not a businessman. You're not an entrepreneur. You are playing different roles, and that's not good for business. If you're a business person, you're only thinking of, okay, what happens next? That's your key asset, because you have the capability to think at that level. Copy, design, ads, anyone else can do that. So yeah, wow. That's what I would say.
Wow, that's amazing. You broke it down so beautifully. And I like the analogy of the car, a leaking car engine, which is so true, I mean, people don't necessarily fix what has to be fixed, but they're looking for extra fuel, and that's never going to take them long. Yeah.
Yes.
That's really nice. And I remember my school teacher taught me about, us making assumptions, and he said that he wrote this big word, assume, and said, whenever you assume, remember that you make an ass out of you and me. I mean,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just that we didn't listen to teachers in school also. Now we were learning it the hard way.
Right. Wonderful. So now, see, there's also, now you're, full-time entrepreneur, you're, engaged. In fact, I just saw that you've, been listed among the, top 15 sales gurus, to be looked up in 2020. That's so wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That I think is a big recognition, and so how do where do you see yourself? Because again, I think it's the extremes that we tend to look at, especially from the through the media and the social media, everything. One end things, entrepreneurship is like so dirty. I mean, the guy is working 24/7. He or she is, I mean, sleepless nights. So that's one picture. Ups and downs in life. They ignore their career, life, family, health, everything. And on the other hand, you have the lifestyle of the rich and the glamour, rich and the famous. I mean, everybody's like next to a Rolls Royce or a Ferrari, and is flying to exotic vacations. So there are these two things, and so where do you see yourself now?
So I think both are connected. I won't say they're too extreme. It's one thing leads to the other, right? Because you're putting in those sleepless nights, because you're pursuing that dream, because you are, thinking out of the box, taking the route which is not conventional. Because of all of that, you'll ride a Ferrari. Because of that, you'll have an island. Because of that, you'll have fame and glamour. So I think they're very much connected. So I'm in that journey right now. And for me, I think I've come to also realize that, look, it's how much value can I add? Everything else will be taken care of itself. All the cars will come, the houses will come. And I should, give a big shout out to you. I love the content that you're putting up on LinkedIn. Very engaging. I still remember the hashtag common sense entrepreneur, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, that's right.
Right. So you're building a story around, and I see a lot of value coming from you, and that's what and it just reinforces the same thing. So if I can come out there, add value with my sales trainings, if I can add value in terms of stand up, make people laugh, still educate them, I'm sure the rest of the things will be taken care of. Even the sleepless nights, like yesterday I slept at 3:30. I was writing my script. I'm actually coming up with a stand up script on Chinese and non-vegetarians.
Wow.
Right, because I think
we have to already.
We got to give it back to them, man. Come on, it's the whole thing is spoiled. So it didn't let me sleep, but I was loving it. I came up with just 3 lines, for about 3.5 hours. But these are lines which I feel happy about. So
right.
I'm sure it's going to add value. And then I think, the rest of the journey will take care of itself. I will just focus on this part. and then the universe will do the rest. So
Wonderful, wonderful. So now you're, full-time entrepreneur, trainer. You're, I'm sure that's, keeping you, completely engaged. You're pursuing your passion, and I don't see that going hand in hand with a lot of people, because most people think that, hey, if I pursue my passion, then there's no room, I cannot really be in the top of my game in terms of career, and so they let that go, or they say I'll have to. It's like an either or, and
yeah.
you seem to be somebody who seems to have hit the balance. I mean, is it possible for everybody? I mean, how do you see
Yeah,
that?
I love that question. I love the and part and replacing or with and I think I'm largely inspired by Grant Cardone, and he says the 10x guru, right? And he says that you can have everything. You can have the best of health, the best of relationships, the best of your work and fulfillment. I think you can have everything. It's not necessary you need to make a compromise. So, and I want to have everything, and I'm very clear with that. That's why I will make sure I hit the gym. So these days I just do 200 push-ups every day. That's because there's no gym right now.
You just
It's
hit
very
a new goal for me. Okay.
right.
I knew the goal was coming from a sales guru, but not in this form. But
Go for it. More power to you.
absolutely,
So I think we can have it all. I think we can have it all. It's all about firstly changing your mind. The moment you tell yourself, look, it's not possible, I should just focus on this, and then the rest won't happen. You've started to tell yourself that story why it won't happen,
right,
and then for certain it won't happen.
right.
But if you change the script, right, and that's what I said, when I hear to Grant Cardone, he's just reinforcing the same script, and I've actually bought into that whole story. So I have to make sure I go to gym, keep myself healthy. I need to make sure I'm doing my meditation. I need to make sure I'm reading books, investing in myself every day. I need to make sure sales 5x is going to the next level. I need to make sure every night I'm writing something around stand up. I need to make sure I'm spending time with friends as well. I think it's possible. It's just about making sure that you really want it. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it also goes back to how bad do you want it. Like, I imagine myself, okay, let's say if I'm great in success but not as healthy, not worth it.
Right.
So
Wonderful. In fact, I wanted to ask you this, and you talked about 10x and kind of happening. In fact, I've read a couple of books and greatly inspired by him. And he talks about when I saw 5x, and that was the immediate connection that was there.
yes, yes,
I like what he says at one point in time. He says, don't under promise and over deliver. I mean, that's nonsense, right? I mean, you're already having a back door open when you under promise, right? I mean, how do you see that coming up in a day-to-day life? Do you really believe overcome it, over promising, and then trying to kind of over perform on top of that? Is that a success principle? I mean, since you're somebody who seems to be living it, I'm just asking you that.
yeah. So what I think is we largely overestimate what we can do in a short period of time, but we largely underestimate what can be done in a longer duration. Uh, right. So I've been gymming for 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Mm-hmm.
never saw any results until 2 years back. So 8 years of, okay, fine. I was not putting on weight. I was not putting on muscle, but I used to just go. And then one guy finally told me that, look, a good body is made in the kitchen, not in the gym. Focus on your diet. So last 2 years I've been focusing on my diet, and things have really moved. Like, I'm in good shape. So going back again, if I first 3, 4, 5 years, if I realize, look, this is not working out, leave it, I would have never gone back to it. Right. So don't set too many goals, in the short run and fail. Rather work in the long term. They will show. I'll give you another example. Seth Godin, he wrote every day. He wrote a blog for 11 years, every single day. Can you believe it? For 11 years. And his best books have come out from those blogs. So not every blog is perfect, right? Not every blog is like, whoa, this is amazing, this is insightful. But the fact that you just keep continuing, you will get that idea. Let me give you another example. There was a study done, two groups. One group was asked to take, only one best photograph they need to submit. The second group was told to click as many photographs and keep submitting. Later, they found out which group took the best photograph. It was the second, right? So don't wait for that perfection. Don't say that, look, I'll just focus on this and I'll make sure I do it in 6 months. It's too less a time. You just got to keep doing it over and over again, and you'll figure your way out.
Wow, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that part. Is there anything else before we, really get on to what most people are probably looking forward to? To probably, laugh out a little. But is there anything, you would want to suggest as or, advise, from what you've learned so far, that people should look at or make changes to, suggestions, whatever you might call, which might help in their career?
Sure. I think I'm very strong on investing in yourself, right? So when was the last time you read a book, you took up a course? Uh, I feel that not people are just stuck in their daily grind that fair enough, they don't get time to do it, but if you make that time, if you create that time, and I feel it's not too difficult also, just half an hour, 1 hour, first thing in the morning, so that you're not caught up with your daily schedule. So I would love to share that with all the viewers, that invest in yourself, and I think it will all add up. So uh, it will eventually add up, and it will change you as a person, whatever it could be. It could
Right.
be, reading about sales, marketing, signing up for a dance class, learning something new. I always ask people, when was the last time you did something for the first time?
Right.
I ask myself that question, and I ask myself once in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. And if I don't have an answer, that means shit, life is not going the way it should be. Uh, so then I say, okay, what new can I do? So just yesterday, my friend told me, he signed up for horse riding classes. I'm like, whoa, that looks interesting. Though I'm scared because I've seen a lot of accidents of horses kicking people. But yeah, I
Right.
want to give it a shot. So yeah, do something new, invest in yourself. I think that's a message which, at this point, I feel very strongly about.
Thank you, Anmol. Thank you so much for sharing so much on your journey. I think the best is stored for the last. I'm going to start with asking you, requesting you to share that poem that you had in mind.
Right.
And probably you should start with that, and then probably lead to a little more time on laughing out, if you don't
Sure.
mind.
So yeah, guys, I've written a poem which is on coronavirus. It's something that I wrote straight from the heart, no words meant. So I'm gonna like. Uh,
Signature Anmol.
I don't write too many poems. There are only 2 or 3 that I've written, but yeah, I'll share that, and then probably we can have a clip on my stand up on Corona, stand up
Oh,
around the stupidity which is happening around Corona. That's what the stand up is about. So are we ready?
yeah, sure. Waiting for it.
Okay. So here we go. Life has come to a complete standstill. We don't know how many people this virus will kill. The 21-day lockdown seems like an endless drill. This virus has left a deep void which will never fill. Think of the laborers who are stuck in a cage. Their only means of survival was their daily wage. Coronavirus is spreading everywhere like a rage. So stay at home at this crucial stage.
Wow.
Stock market has crashed, business is down. It's time you firmly hold your ground. Just read books and stay mentally sound. When you are lost, it's the best time to be found. The virus is a reminder that we've constantly been on the run. Sometimes it's important to just stop and soak in the sun. The damage is already done. Hey, I really want to tell you this. If you're sleeping with your family tonight, you are the blessed one.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Thank
a
you.
brilliant one. Yeah, that's a deep one. Anmol, thank you so much for sharing that
Thank
with us.
you.
And before we move on to the your clip, I want to really thank you once again for taking time off. More than that, I'll tell you what you've shared till now has been a tremendous value add. I'm sure A lot of people will take a lot of learnings from here, not just for these 21 days, but far beyond. Thank you so much for taking time in the conversation.
Thank you, Indian. Thanks for the invite. Loved interacting with you. More power to you. More power to you. Keep doing what you're doing. You're just awesome. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Anmol. Have a great evening. Wonderful.
Thank you. You too. Cheers. Stay at home. Stay safe.
So the virus is here finally, but the Indian government is highly underreporting the numbers, man. Like they are claiming only 160, 170 odd cases. But guys, trust me, more than 120 million Indians have been affected. These people are also called TikTok users. TikTok is like coronavirus only, man. Both don't have a cure. But the hottest startup right now is not into electric vehicles. The hottest startup is selling sanitizers and toilet paper. See, I'm not shaking hands with people not because of coronavirus. It's because people don't have toilet paper. Toilet paper has now become like common sense. You can't find both. Instead of investing money in Yes Bank, you should have invested in toilet paper. You would have made shitloads of money. Like literally, man. But another hot startup idea is a video conferencing app. Because work from home is the future, man. That's the future. I'm sure one Indian company is going to launch its video conferencing app in the next 10 days. That company is Patanjali. Baba Ramdev is a visionary entrepreneur, man. Right from yoga to vogue, Baba is everywhere. But a lot of corporate companies have asked their employees to work from home. And all these employees are like, yeah, man, finally it's happened. And then they got the news that their kids will also be at home. And they're like, no, cancel. We'll go to office. Because at least we can handle coronavirus. Guys, work from home is difficult, man. It doesn't happen. Like according to me, work from home means work for home. Because if you're at home, your wife will definitely ask you to do jhadu pocha. And maids will lose their jobs, man. That's not good for the economy. Talking about economy, Mukesh Ambani has lost 35,000 crores because of coronavirus. I think this coronavirus is turning Mukesh Ambani into Anil Ambani. But it's crazy, man. Like losing 35,000 crores. Can you imagine that? Like just last week, I left 20 rupees at a restaurant. Coming back home, I cried for 10 minutes. 20 rupees, man. It's not little. Yeah, anyways, moving on. The media's gone crazy, man. Media's gone crazy. I've been tripping over the news last 1 week, man. Like in the news, it was said that this time the IPL will be played without spectators. I'm like, wait, isn't that the case every year? Right? That's what happens every year, man. But I think this is good news for RCB because now when they lose, their fans and owner won't be present. They can lose more confidently. Recently, a coronavirus conference was cancelled because of coronavirus. Like the stand-up show. Right? It's the same thing like an ambulance carrying a patient and that ambulance meets with an accident. About it, man. And then just day before I read that Air India has cancelled its flight to 6 nations. I was shocked. I didn't know Air India flies to 6 nations. Didn't know that, man. But people are going crazy, man. There's just mass hysteria. You know, I recently saw an ad by a mattress company which said, this is an anti-corona mattress. How, man? How? Like to prevent coronavirus, people are selling cow urine for 500 rupees per liter. I wish I was a cow. At least I would have an excretory source of income. But every country is doing everything possible to stop the virus. You know, like China is sanitizing all its cities aggressively. Italy is ordered for a complete lockdown. India has changed the caller tune for everyone. Trust me, guys, the virus is spreading because of that caller tune. Indians are crazy, man. Indians are crazy. Like some people are saying, if you dip your hands in cow dung, you won't get the virus. I agree. Because if you dip your hands in cow dung, no one will shake hands with you. Point. But my favorite video was this our union minister chanting, "Go Karuna, go Karuna, go." I support that guy. Because if science cannot cure the virus, stupidity can. But on a serious note, the difference between coronavirus and Wi-Fi is that at least coronavirus is bringing families together.